Network Entertainment.
Sexual and asexual kasi reproduction. So it can produce seeds, and it can also actually produce vegetative propagules, which are with technical term known na offshoots. So parang mga daughter plants niya. So within actually 2 weeks, pwede na siyang gumawa ng maraming anak. Depende on the amount of nitrogen and phosphorus available sa kanya. And sa ating mga katulad ng Laguna Lake na doon dumadaloy ang mga, from farms, from ating mga communities, doon pumapasok yung mga waste nila. And so, marami talagang pumapasok na nutrients doon, which actually gives them the nutrients na kailangan nila. Na-realize namin na laki pala talaga ng problema. In a year, nakakakuha na silang 1 million na tons. So, 1 million tonelada na water hyacinth, yung tanim talaga. And almost every year, ginagawa nila yun.
Sa tuwing nagbabasa kayo ng mga research papers, nagtataka din ba kayo kung paano ito naisipan gawin ng mga researchers? Paano nila na-transform ang idea nila para maging isang actual na research project? Saan sila kumuha ng funding para magawa to? Paano nila nalaman na ang results nila ay pwede na nilang ipasa for publication? Dito sa Behind the Science podcast ay kakausapin natin ang ating mga Pinoy scientists para ibahagi hindi lang ang mga resulta ng kanilang pag-aaral, kundi pati na rin ang mga behind the scenes or behind the science stories nito. Simula sa kung paano nila ito naisipan gawin hanggang sa na-publish na nila ito. So this podcast is in partnership with the UP Resilience Institute, the Philippine Agricultural Scientist, the Philippine Journal of Fisheries, and SciEngJ. So ang UP Resilience Institute ay long-time partners na namin dito sa podcast. Nung nagsisimula pa lang kami, nandyan na sila para tumulong sa amin. At para lang sa kaalaman ng lahat, ako ngayon ay isang UPRI Research Fellow. The Philippine Agricultural Scientist is the first international journal in the Philippines and Southeast Asia in the field of agriculture. It is published by the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, College of Agriculture and Food Science. It publishes articles in the fields of tropical agricultural science and related areas including environmental science, food science, engineering, biotechnology, economics, rural sociology, development communication, agroforestry and silviculture, and marine and fishery science. The Philippine Journal of Fisheries is the official publication of the Department of Agriculture, National Fisheries Research and Development Institute. It covers all aspects of fisheries, both in basic and applied sciences, as well as related fields of studies such as capture fisheries, aquaculture, post-harvest technology, marketing and industry, ecology, oceanography, conservation, biotechnology, food safety, socioeconomics, and systematics in freshwater, estuarine, marine, and other identifiable water habitats. SciEngJ, formerly known as the Philippine Science Letters, is the official journal of the Philippine American Academy of Science and Engineering. It covers studies in the natural, physical, mathematical, computational, and social sciences, including those related to agriculture, health, engineering, environment, education, and technology. So kung may paper kayong gustong i-publish at pasok ito sa scope ng mga journals na ito, please consider submitting to one of them. At syempre, importante, take note na hindi kayo pwede mag-submit ng sabay-sabay sa 3 journals na ito. Kasi bawal yon. Dapat sa isang journal muna kayo mag-submit. At ang mga journals na to ay index na rin sa Web of Science, Scopus, ASEAN Citation Index, and sa Imago Journal Ranking. Kaya masisiguro nyo dito ang mataas na standard at mabusisi na review process para masiguro ang high quality papers na pinapublish. So if you're interested in publishing your research in one of these journals, check nyo ang guidelines at ang links ay nasa description. Magandang araw mga kapwa-siyentista at welcome sa isa na namang episode ng Behind the Science podcast. Ako si Paul Flores, ang inyong host, and our guest is an associate professor at the Institute of Weed Science, Entomology, and Plant Pathology, UP Los Baños. She earned her BS degree in agriculture, major in plant protection from the Visayas State University. After graduation, she joined the office of the Provincial Agriculturist, Leyte Province, as an agricultural technologist. She completed her PhD in agronomy at Kansas State University in 2010.
Before returning to the academe, she gained extensive professional experience as weed scientist with the University of California, Davis, Monsanto, and Oklahoma State University. She later joined the faculty of the Department of Pest Management at VSU and in 2020 became a part of the IWEP at UPLB. So without further ado, let's all welcome Dr. Mary Joy M. Abit.
Good evening, Paul.
Ayun, so welcome po Ma'am Joy sa podcast. So ayun, bago pala tayo magsimula, kung nag-enjoy kayo dito sa podcast at gusto nyo ang ginagawa namin dito, paki-like naman ang episode na ito at mag-subscribe na rin kayo sa mga social media platforms ng Behind the Science Podcast. Makikita nyo kami sa Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast, and Facebook. Paki-rate na rin kami ng 5 stars para mas madami pa tayong maabot na audience. So ayun, ang topic natin today, tungkol ito sa mga water hyacinth or yung mga water lilies, kung ano ang nagko-control sa pagdami nila. At ang study na ito ay na-publish sa The Philippine Agricultural Scientist. And also recommend ko din yung mga previous episodes natin na tungkol din sa mga studies na na-publish dito sa The Philippine Agricultural Scientist. So please check episode 96 with Miss Angeline Marmeto. Ang pinag-usapan namin doon ay yung cross-pollination ng isang genetically modified na corn sa isang natural na corn, tapos na-inherit nung natural corn na yun yung genetic modification na related sa insect resistance. So first report yun sa Pilipinas. So I encourage everyone to check. And episode 91 with Dr. Florendo Flores. Ang pinag-usapan namin doon ay fortifying rice with vitamin A. At yung dalawang studies pala na to, nanalo sila nung NAST Outstanding Paper Award. So ayun, for anyone interested, please check yung dalawang episodes natin na to. So ayun, the usual, bago natin pag-usapan yung naging study ni Ma'am Joy, kilalanin muna natin siya as well as yung naging journey niya as a scientist. So first question po namin dito palagi, Ma'am Joy, kailan niyo po na-realize na gusto niyo magtrabaho sa science sector?
Actually, it has to go back siguro sa bata pa ako. I lived kasi in a academic institution sa campus talaga ng university. Ang father ko, dating professor sa VSU, at saka yung nanay ko nagtatrabaho din sa university library. And so, in an academic, institution, nakikita mo ang daming research na ginagawa, and so parang it enhances yung aking desire to be a scientist. And secondly, I think it has also to do with my father talaga. Kasi my father did a lot of research, and then when he's doing research outside the university, sumasama ako sa kanya. And so doon nakikita ko on how he do things, doing research, yung mga ganon. And parang nakita kong exciting. And so I think that actually triggers sa akin na pumunta into science and become a researcher and a scientist.
Agriculture din po yung father niyo. Bakit po agriculture yung kinuha niyong course?
Actually, ang nangyari, agriculture talaga ang tatay ko. He's into agronomy. He was teaching agronomy. And bakit actually agriculture? I'll make this story short, pero agriculture wasn't my original na gustong kunin na course. I really wanted to go into MBB at saka or computer science. But hindi napalad, some family na mga issues. And so, and I went to agriculture, but I think it was fate na maging agriculture. And I really love my job right now. And ang daming actually experiences na kuha ko ngayon na sinabi ko, if I was probably nag-MBB ako or nag-computer science, I think how I can share yung aking natutunan ngayon will not be that, lawak as compared sa ngayon na I took agriculture.
Sa isang previous episode po namin, na bring up namin na kadalasan yung mga tao, yung tingin nila sa mababa yung tingin nila sa mga kumukuha ng agriculture. Do you share po ba the same sentiment na ganun yung tingin ng mga tao sa mga kumukuha ng agriculture?
Actually, yun ang I mean, I don't see agriculture na mababa or anything. Ang most likely probably the concept na mababa because who's doing agriculture are farmers, no? Kulang lang siguro tayo din ng, how to explain what is agriculture and how agriculture contributes into the GDP sa Pilipinas. Kasi if you have to go in other countries, agriculture is tinitingin as mataas hindi naman siya mababa. Ang nangyari lang is, dito siguro sa Pilipinas, ang concept natin who's doing agriculture are, the word just farmers. I mean, we should not put just farmers. And usually ngayon, sinasabi ko, noon kasi nagda-drawing tayo, di ba? Yung nina-drawing natin kalabaw, tapos yung bukid, yung ganon. So, tapos ganon pa rin ang drawing ngayon. Sabi, let's change that, no? Ibahin na natin yung concept natin sa agriculture. Agriculture now is precision ag. Lagay mo na ng tractor doon. Lagay mo ng drone, right? Lagay mo ng GPS. Kasi ganun na, actually, ganun ang agriculture. I mean, we're feeding the world. And so, our concept should be, it's not mababa siya, hindi dapat mababa ang ating tingin dun sa agriculture kasi we are actually feeding the world. And if walang agriculture, then who's going to feed the world? No, nobody will. Not even the computers or whatever, yung ating mga phones and everything, they will not feed the world. Yung agriculture will. Right?
Apa. Actually, yan nga po yung parang isa din sa na-bring up dati, kadalasan yung misconception, hindi naman pala siya misconception. Yung mga sinasabi ng mga estudyante na, ay, bagsakan yan ng mga, bumabagsak sa engineering or other courses. Pero, yun nga, I guess, dapat baguhin natin yung, yung ganun na mindset sa mga
I agree
agriculture.
with that. Actually, And with the recent naman din, siguro ng mga advances in agriculture, I think, unti-unting na-change actually ang concept natin lalo na nung pumasok na ang precision ag, no, when it comes to precision ag. So it helps a lot din na to boost yung the concept na ng people about agriculture. Kasi the truth is agriculture right now is mind-blowing na ang technology, no? It's really when I was actually working with a previous company, yung Monsanto, parang sinabi ko, I'm in the future, no, of agriculture. So, marami actually, it's very exciting right now to be in agriculture. No? Daming mga technologies that are coming in and marami, and in the future, I think there will be a lot to look forward to.
After graduating college po, di ba, nagtrabaho po kayo as agricultural technologist sa government, sa Office of the Provincial Agriculturist. So, can you enlighten din po yung audience natin? Ano ba yung ginagawang trabaho ng isang agricultural technologist at ano yung ginagawang trabaho ng Office of the Provincial Agriculturist?
Okay, actually, ang Office of the Provincial Agriculturist more on the extension arm. No? Although meron naman talaga extension arm ATI, pero the extension arm of agriculture, I think, is the provincial agriculture. Although we're also doing research, pero more on, not actually basic research, more on the demo, more on verification research ang ginagawa doon. And ang trabaho ko as an agricultural technician doon or technologist doon was more on extension talaga. Very focused ako kasi I was in the crop protection section and very focused ako on the integrated pest management. Kasi during that time, I was nag-launch ng hybrid rice, nag-launch din ng national IPM program, yung kasakalikasan na program. So, it was actually exciting. Na forefront ang national IPM. And then we were actually doing a lot of trainings with the farmers, the farmer field schools. It's a seed to seed na training. So Like for example, sa rice namin na training, so it's about 16 weeks or more. 16 to 18 weeks na training. Every week nagmi-meet kami sa farmers. And the good thing about it is, when you do that, parang you learn a lot from, it's not just sharing what you know, they also share what they know. And so parang nabibridge mo together what you know and what actually they know. And so you, in a way, you find a solution. Hindi naman siya kasi we're also limited with the resources, you know that. Pero maganda siya, no, na as a technician, nandun ka kasi sa ground eh. Nandun ka sa ground. And nakikita mo ang anong nangyayari exactly of how the farmers are actually feeling, kung ano ang ginagawa nila. You help as much as you can as a technician. And actually, yung experience ko yan, relating that with the academia ngayon, really helps me a lot. Kasi nakita ko and I can share to my students ano talaga ang nangyayari and how I can explain to them kung ano ang ginagawa doon. And helps me enlighten them, lalo na yung mga estudyante ngayon, no, on what's really happening in the ground. And yun ang kagandahan actually sa technician. Masaya, mahirap, no? Especially wala kang sasakyan, nag-aantay ka lalo na kung I was covering like how many municipalities. Marami siya. And so parang sinasabi ko na nga sa bus ako ang may-ari dyan sa isang gulong na yan kasi every day I have to travel, see, and I learned how to climb coconut just to look at, kasi I was also a surveillance officer, so kailangan ko to monitor the pests and diseases. So sa lawak naman ng area ko, I have to learn kung umakyat ng coconut para makita kung yung flag ni farmer na may problema pala siya doon, so pupuntahan ko si farmer, masaya siya. Masaya siya kasi you experience yung ano talaga ang nangyayari sa ground. And so what you can learn and what you have learned actually, you can immediately share. And hindi man siya malaki ang sweldo, pero it's actually very fulfilling na trabaho. Very fulfilling. At the end of the day, I will say, very thankful ako sa work ko.
Then from working in government po, paano naman po nag-open up yung opportunity na mag-PhD sa US?
Actually, I really enjoyed my job. I was there for about 12 years, no? And all of a sudden, eto na yung kapatid ko, who's actually a professor right now at Oklahoma State. And sabi niya, "You really love your job?" Sabi ko, "Oo, I do." Sabi niya, "Content pa na?" Sabi ko, in a way, yes. Pero, ang sweldo ay So, hindi ka ba, masaya ka ba sa ganun lang natutunan mo? Do you plan on going to grad school? Sabi ko, well, okay, I'll try. So I actually tried on submitting, applications to grad school, and luckily, I got actually a assistantship with Kansas State University. And so, it was actually a decision of whether to leave or not. Kasi I was actually asking yung aming provincial agriculture kung pwede akong mag-study leave lang. Pero iba kasi ang arrangement doon. And sa academia, you can actually go for a study leave and babalik ka lang. Mahirap din kasi when it comes to local government units. And so I decided sabi ko, okay, I'll take the risk. Mag-resign ako and then to grad. Anyway, I'm still young. Whatever happens, I could probably find a job pa rin. And so, yun, that trigger actually, it was my brother who actually pushed me to go to grad school. And luckily, I got an assistantship with Kansas State University. That's why nag-pursue ako ng grad school.
Ano pa yung research na ginawa niyo dun sa US?
It was more, my research na ginawa ko was more on testing a herbicide on crop safety. Kasi gusto nilang, it's a herbicide that was already registered to another crop, which was corn. And they wanted to expand the label of the herbicide to another crop, which was sorghum. And so I was testing those. And actually eventually they decided not to expand the label kasi because of the high injury of the crop. I was also doing there was a developed then sorghum sort of cultivar na was resistant to another herbicide. And so I was developing now the technology of that for that particular developed na sorghum. And so those were actually na mga studies ko. Very focused on, I did some field research. Also, I did basic research, which was looking at reasons of why why the crop was actually resistant to this particular herbicides. So I was doing some absorption, translocation, metabolism studies on this different crops. So I think those were the two main na ginawa ko sa aking PhD na program.
Then from US po, bakit yun naman naisipan bumalik pa ng Pilipinas?
Actually, hindi naman ako, I stayed there after graduation. I stayed there and worked for, I think, 8 years. Before actually 8 years, mga ganon, or 9 years, before I eventually came home. The reason, actually, I've been asked of that, and I cannot, hindi ko din kita masasagot. The truth is, hindi kita masasagot bakit umuwi ako. It's just, every time I sit down, I can actually picture Pilipinas. When I'm stressed and when I'm doing nothing, hindi ko alam, pero every time, I still always think the Philippines. And so, after moving from different institutions and companies, nag-decide, sabi ko, I think I am being called back sa Pilipinas. And so, bumalik. In 2018, actually, I left the Philippines in 2006. I came back actually 2018 na. So, that's about 12 years. Pero parang may humuhugot talaga sa akin na bumalik ka sa Pilipinas. And so, here I am. And I think masaya naman din ako na andito ako.
Sa mga nangyayari po ngayon, di naman sumagi sa isip nyo na nagsisisi kayo na bumalik pa kayo?
The word actually, I think not nagsisisi. One thing lang actually I think is I miss the convenience. Ang dami kasing the convenience when it comes to doing research, purchasing. Ang hirap dito. Pero when I decided to come home, actually naisip ko na yon na this will be the challenges I will be facing, and gusto ko pa rin umuwi. And I still decided to go home. Nagsisisi ko I don't think nagsisisi ako. I just miss actually the convenience that I get na nandun ako sa US compared dito sa Pilipinas. Pero when it comes to salary wise or something, I think I'm good, and it's only myself din na sinusuportahan ko kaya okay lang.
Ayun. So, I guess madami naming napagkwentuhan ni Ma'am J tungkol sa naging journey niya. Ngayon, I think pag-usapan naman natin yung isa sa mga naging research niya. So, ang title nito ay Influence of Nitrogen and Phosphorus Rates on the Growth of Water Hyacinth Pontederia crassipes Mart. So, first question po namin sa segment na to palagi. Can you explain po yung paper nyo in one sentence tungkol saan po ba ito?
This is actually a study that demonstrate how nitrogen and phosphorus can enhance the growth of water hyacinth or your Pontederia crassipes. So, the water hyacinth actually shows a strong response to the application of these fertilizers, particularly in terms of biomass accumulation, leaf formation, and offshoot production. So basically yun ang gist ng aming research.
May question po pala ako dun sa sa scientific name. Bakit may Mart sa dulo? Ano pa yung ano pa yung Mart dun sa dulo?
Well, pangalan yun actually ng author kung sino nagbigay ng scientific name. Kasi ang scientific name kasi before the Pontidaria crassipes, Icornia crassipes yon. So iba naman ang author and sa Icornia crassipes, hindi Mart. No, ngayon kasi nag-iba ang author, nag-Pontidaria crassipes, no, ando na si Mart.
Ah,
Oo. So, that's actually the author of kung sinong nagbigay ng scientific name.
kaya din po ba yung ibang scientific name may L sa dulo, yung Linnaeus kasi si
Yes.
Linnaeus
Yes.
okay,
Oo,
yun pala yun.
Ganun yun.
Yung water lilies po, 'di ba ano to, hindi naman talaga siya natural sa 'di ba? Sa Pilipinas. Tama po ba?
Hindi siya. It's an exotic weed. I don't remember. I think it's from Africa. Ang source nito, ang galing talaga siya dito. And dumating dito siya sa Asia. And most of the time kasi, ito kasing when pumapasok kasi, for example, itong mga weed dito, most of the time pumapasok ang weed, hindi kasama ang natural enemy. No? So, because of that, ang weather conditions, ang environmental conditions, or where they came from, actually are more or less the same dito sa Pilipinas. So, mabilis lang dumami. And then, without the natural enemies, of course, dadami sila. So, and kaya, it's a big problem now dito sa Pilipinas, ang water hyacinth.
Kailan po siya na-introduce sa Pilipinas? Alam niyo po ba yung ganong details or?
Actually, hindi ko na maalala kung kailan siya na-introduce sa Pilipinas. Sorry, alam kong meron yan, pero hindi ko na exactly maalala kung
Okay.
kailan.
Pero hindi naman siya recently na parang the past 10-20 years.
No. Matagal
matagal
na
pa.
to actually ang weed na ito dito sa Pilipinas.
And then nabanggit niyo po kanina na destructive siya in the sense na wala yung natural na parang predator ba yung term na enemy niya. So in addition with that po, may other factors pa ba na parang nag-contribute bakit siya naging parang invasive or destructive sa environment?
Well, it is actually yung kanyang growth characteristic ng Pontidaria or yung water hyacinth. Kasi ang bilis niyang sexual and asexual kasi reproduction. So it can produce seeds, and it can also actually produce vegetative propagules, which are with technical term no na offshoots, no? So parang mga daughter plants niya. So within actually 2 weeks, no? Pwede na siyang gumawa ng maraming anak. Depende on the amount of nitrogen and phosphorus available sa kanya. And sa ating mga katulad ng Laguna Lake na doon dumadaloy ang mga from farms, from ating mga communities, doon pumapasok yung mga waste nila. And so, marami talagang pumapasok na, nutrients doon, which actually gives them the nutrients na kailangan nila. So, because of that, lalos lang dumadami. Lalo na sa tag-ulan, no? Lalo na sa tag-ulan na yung source of, for example, these nutrients, dumadaloy talaga doon sa, for example, sa Laguna Lake. So, nasa-centralize yung mga nutrients doon. And whether you have the enough nutrients, of course, dadami sila. Kaya, ganun. And ang malaking problema sa kanila is gumagawa sila, hindi actually masyado, although, well, didn't say that, pero ang kanilang root system din kasi, no, fibrous, and ang dumadami siya talaga na it actually creates a cover. It creates a cover doon sa body of water na because of that, it creates hypoxia na siya, na wala na siyang oxygen na pumapasok and nagiging problema siya.
Wala pa rin pong parang documented na natural predator nung nung mga water lilies.
Meron actually documented na mga predators. I think Nicotiae ecornea, if I remember that right. I think, yes, ecornea. And it's actually a very good and prolific na predator doon, or a natural enemy, I would say, doon. Kaya lang, hindi lang, it needs to be, released. So, kailangan nating padamihin and then i-release natin. Right now, wala kasi tayong ginagawa na studies on biological control on that. More ang ginagawa ngayon na control is on the mechanical, no? Yung pagkuha ng mga So, wala tayong biological control na ginagawa currently dito sa Pilipinas.
So dito po sa study nyo, ano yung kumbaga parang naging spark to do this study? Bakit nyo po ginawa itong study na to?
Well, it actually started when my colleague and I, yung isang author ko, si Dr. Ramirez, and I were invited ng DNR and LLDA, yung Laguna Lake Development Authority, to discuss or to talk about yung water hyacinth na that are present in the water bodies, lalo na doon sa Laguna Lake nga. And then during the meeting, doon, actually, na-realize namin na laki pala talaga ng problema. We were learned na in isang parang in a year, nakakakuha na silang like 1 million na tons. So, 1 million tonelada na water hyacinth, yung tanim talaga. And almost every year, ginagawa nila yun. No? So, pabalik-balik ang problema. And so, we realized na, bakit pabalik-balik? And so, yun ang unang tanong namin, why? What factors influence the rapid growth nitong water hyacinth? And so, we went into literatures, tumingin kami ng mga literatures, and we found out na dito sa Pilipinas, wala tayong ginagawa on any research regarding, varying levels of nitrogen and phosphorus and how they affect actually the growth ng ating yung water hyacinth. And that actually triggers sa amin na to do this research. We make, I think, yung research question on how do these different rates of nitrogen and phosphorus affect the growth ng ating water hyacinth. Kasi before you do any control method kasi, dapat anong enemy mo. That's the first, that's the first principle of management, no? And any pest management is to know thy enemy. So that's one process of knowing actually yung enemy namin. Or what triggers. So we have to know about the biology and ecology of the weed. And so doing the research actually will help us understand ano ang dapat na gagawin.
Tapos bakit po kayo nag-zero in dun sa nitrogen and phosphorus?
This actually, kasi itong nitrogen and phosphorus are the nutrients that actually triggers eutrophication. Right? So kung marami siya, dumadami kasi ang yung fauna doon sa water bodies. And so let's try. Baka naman ang nitrogen and phosphorus talaga have an effect on this water hyacinth. And true nga, it has. No? Meron talaga silang effect. And on especially on yung offshoot production, leaf production, yung production nila into a flowering, actually, they enhances those mga characteristic ng water hyacinth.
So with that po, ano ngayon po yung experimental setup nitong study to test yung hypothesis nyo?
Ang ginawa namin was, sige, we thought of if nitrogen and phosphorus and anong nutrient actually will affect, no, the growth. And so, because of limited funds, dalawa lang nutrient actually ang the most, yung phosphorus and nitrogen. And sige, and tiningnan namin what levels, different levels of nitrogen and different levels of phosphorus will actually enhance, no? And so we found out that 20 to 30 milligrams of nitrogen per liter will actually enhance the growth. Because beyond that, it will actually affect or have a negative effect ng water hyacinth. Oo. Pero yung phosphorus, wala siyang masyado actually effect doon sa growth niya. I would specifically on the offshoot production, leaf formation niya. Pero may effect siya on the flowering ng how early they can flower. Pero other than that, siya. But both, no, have can enhance the growth ng water hyacinth.
Wait. Interested po ako sa paano kayo nag-arrive sa ganun na results? Like, so, yung kinuha nyo po ba ng mga water lilies galing doon mismo sa Laguna de Bay, tapos dinala nyo siya sa lab and gawin yung mga experiments?
Actually, yes. We collected yung mother plants na gala namin. We collected from Laguna, And then, after that, dinala namin dito sa lab. And pinaproduce pa namin, linagay namin sila sa malaking para siyang basin, no? Marami sila, linagay namin. And then we allowed them to produce offshoots. Kasi pare-pareho ang aming mga yung tanim.
Para yun yung starting point nung
Oo. So kailangan
okay.
hindi kasi pwede na idiretso namin, no? So pinaanak muna namin sila na marami. And then those na pare-pareho ng sizes, yun ang ginamit namin sa experiment namin. No.
So, okay, from that po, pinaglaruan niyo yung concentrations ng nitrogen and phosphorus. So ano pa yung mga concentrations na yan?
If I remember that right, sorry, hindi ko kasi I have to I think we based the 1, 3, 5, and 7 milligrams of phosphorus per liter, and then we have also 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50 milligrams of nitrogen per liter. Binase ito siya actually on a publication na ang kailangan ng nutrient ng water hyacinth is 20 milligrams of nitrogen per liter and 3 milligrams of phosphorus per liter. And so, based on that, yun ang binasihan namin. And tingnan natin, totoo ba to? Or baka may nakakainha or in a mas mataas ang pangangailangan dito sa Pilipinas, yung mga ganon. And we found out actually na hindi lang siya 20, kundi actually yung 30 milligrams actually can enhance din ng growth ng 30 milligrams of nitrogen can enhance the growth ng ating water hyacinth.
Gano'n po katagal nag-run yung experiment? Kasi diba ilalagay nyo siya dun sa balde, tapos may iba-ibang concentrations ng nitrogen and phosphorus. Gano'n nyo siya katagal pinalaki?
Actually, ang nangyari doon siya, matagal siya kasi yung pag-produce ng offshoots, which takes about 2 to 3 weeks. No? Then, after that, we have to weigh each of those aming mga plantlets o yung mga daughter plants. We have to weigh. And then, pina-acclimatize muna namin. Hindi namin sila agad na linagyan ng fertilizer. So, we let them grow muna for about 3 to 5 days. And then, doon na kami naglagay ng aming different concentrations. Then, every week, I think every week, tinitingnan namin for a month. So, tinitingnan namin yung growth tinitimbang namin, tinitingnan namin kinakount namin ang leaves, tinitingnan din namin kung na-produce na sila ng flower, tinitingnan namin kung na-produce na sila ng offshoot. So, ganon ang actually ang ginawa namin.
may ano ba yun? May everyday routine pa po ba yun para lang i-check kung buhay yung water lily? Binibinyagan pa ba yun or something? Wala na.
Well, actually, chine-check siya every now and then, lalo ng during the second kasi na run, dalawa kasing run namin ginawa. We have to, actually, ang second run namin, we have to redo the second run. Kasi ang nangyari is binagyo. Oh. So, we have to redo the second run. And then we have to check then every day kasi ang water level, hindi siya pwede na mawala ng tubig. 'Di ba? Kasi ano. So, and then during rainy days then, kailangan namin siya monitor na hindi siya pwedeng lumampas sa balde. Kasi kung lumampas siya ng balde, mawawala yung fertilizer na linagay namin. So, we have to check the plants constantly.
So with that po, may problem po ba yan sa ano? Kumbaga sa dilution nung nilagay nyo na initial concentration, halimbawa, nabawasan yung tubig kasi inabsorb na nung water lily. So yung initial concentration mo dun sa tubig, nabawasan din or...
As expected siya, actually, as expected. Kasi yung linagay mo, no, yung nilagay mo na rate, na-absorb ng tanim. So you don't expect talaga na, you don't expect talaga na the same ang nasa water mo. Pero, you will actually know kung how much ang absorption ng tanim ng nitrogen and phosphorus. Kasi, kung ilan na lang ang naiwan doon sa water, that will tell you na ang the rest would likely have been absorbed by the plant. Ang limitation lang doon sa aming study was hindi namin nagawa ang plant tissue analysis. Dahil nga doon sa limitation of fund. But if we have to do the study again, I really want to look at yung utilization ng tanim ng nitrogen and phosphorus so that we can actually look at the nitrogen use efficiency and the phosphorus use efficiency ng tanim. Kung talaga bang ginamit ba talaga niya or hindi, nawala lang siya in the atmosphere or something. So, it would have been nice na if we have done that, unfortunate due to the limited budget. But actually, the same thing. Naman na the objective of the study namin is to know kung may effect ba ang nitrogen and phosphorus, which we have actually gathered a very good data. And that's why nga we decided to publish it because yun na nga, we have a good data and repeatable naman siya. So, but if we have to redo the study, there are actually other studies na or other analysis that we would like to add in order to have a better actually understanding on the nutrient use of water hyacinth.
And then, recall ko lang po pala kung tama yung pagkaintindi ka dun sa sinabi nyo kanina. Bale, yung kumbaga parang optimal na concentration para dun sa rapid na growth na mangyari ay 25 milligram per liter na 20
milligrams of nitrogen.
Tapos yung sa phosphorus po, meron po ba or
3.
wala naman?
Meron din siya. 3.
And then,
mas mababa actually ang kailangan na phosphorus.
And then yung growth parameters po na sinasabi nyo ay ano 'di ba? Yung biomass, yung leaf production and offshoot.
So we actually looked at the number of days to flowering. Tiningnan din namin. Kumuha din kami actually ng weight weekly. So every week kinukuha namin yung weight and then at the end sa 28 days kinuha namin. Kumuha kami ng fresh weight, tapos in-oven dry din namin. Tapos din kami ng dry weight ng Pontidaria.
Okay. Actually, yun po saring itatanong ko sa weight kasi parang ini-imagine ko na kapag tinimbang nyo siya agad, hindi kaya yung tubig lang yung tinitimbang nyo at hindi yung water lily.
That's why we have to get the at ginamit actually namin hindi ang fresh weight kundi ang dry weight siya ang ginamit namin para maano natin yung water and ang biomass na lang talaga ng tanim.
Siguro ano po, last question ko po siguro sa tungkol dito na ayun nga sa experimental setup and yung results. Kasi parang yung isa sa nakikita ko, kung ikukumpara natin yung setup nyo sa real world scenario, 'di ba sa Laguna de Bay, 'di ba may mga kabahayan dun sa paligid, and syempre we expect na may mga nagtatapon dun ng mga basura sa lawa, and parang yun yung everyday na nagiging source nung nutrients mo. And so in a sense, parang everyday na may maintain dapat yung ganun na concentration. Pero dito po sa setup nyo, parang may initial concentration lang kayo, tapos eventually parang ina-expect mo na bumababa siya kasi ina-absorb siya nung water lily. So do you think po ba iba yung result na makukuha nyo kung everyday parang ina-adjust nyo yung concentration na babalik siya dapat dun sa initial concentration ng tubig?
Actually, I think yung nutrient kasi na kailangan ng tanim, nakuha na niya. And that's why nag-respond siya that way. And so, ang susunod mo actually doon na sa mga offshoots mo. Kasi kailangan nila ng ng the same amount of nutrient para din sila lumaki and gumawa din sila ng offshoot. Kaya in order to do that, kailangan siya i-maintain na ganon. Pero we are very particular doon sa yung response ng isang tanim and how actually yung response niya on that. Pero it would be nice actually, meron siya actually yung mga studies na ginagawa siya talaga doon sa lake, no? Linalagyan lang nila ng unfortunately dahil nga sa limited funds and limited na wala din kaming permit to do that. You should have a permit to do that. And so, initial lang. Actually, this is just more of initial study. Gusto naming tingnan kasi we developed a larger na proposal na which we are actually planning to submit for funding, and hopefully it will be funded, na to look at dito na talaga, and if we can do that actually sa lake, yun ang aming gusto, na maggawa na lang ng para siyang sort of a containment, no, and para makuha talaga ang realistic, more on the ang totoo talaga na response ng water hyacinth, given na every day nagtatapon itong mga we get a lot of waste doon sa river or sa lake. Kaya we are really hoping to develop we have developed a proposal for funding to support these expanded studies.
Paano po pala paano yung disposal nung samples nyo?
Ang pag-dispose ng aming samples, kasi dried na siya eh.
Okay.
Kasi dried na siya. So
Patay na
patay
siya.
na talaga. Patay na talaga ang weed. So wala siyang problema. And you can actually incorporate this water hyacinth to the soil. It actually adds nutrient to the soil. And so kaya ganun actually ang ginagawa namin. So during our studies, as long as wala siyang seed, kung may seed, ibang storya yon on how you dispose. Pero kung wala siyang seed, then we can actually incorporate that to the soil, for addition naman ng nutrients to the soil.
Ay, ito po pala. Outside na po ito sa study nyo, pero curious lang po ako. What if po yung body of water mo, contaminated siya, for example, ng mga heavy metals or something? Ina-absorb ba yun ng water lily? Tapos kapag ilibing mo siya, nagiging parang poison ba yun sa lupa or something?
Actually, ang water hyacinth is actually a good plant for bioremediation. And it can absorb heavy metals, no? And the good thing about it is if you have to add that sa soil, wala namang masyadong hindi ko alam pero based sa experience ko na in-add namin sa soil, wala kaming masyadong nagka-problema. Pero we didn't hindi ko din mako-confirm confirm kung meron ba o wala kasi we did not do any studies at all nung looking at the soil. Pero incorporate namin, tinaniman namin, and the growth of yung crop namin na tinanim was okay. But do not quote me on that kasi hindi ko alam kasi we did not do any analysis on the
Opo.
soil. Mm.
So ayun po, I guess, ayun, for anyone interested na basahin yung study, check nyo lang yung link dyan sa description. Palagi naman nakalink yung mga studies dito. So ngayon naman po, punta naman natin yung more on behind the scenes naman in doing this study. So kanina po, nabanggit nyo na limited yung funding to do this and may proposals kayo na pinasa for a larger funding.
Mhm.
So in this study po, ano yung funding source? And magkano yung funding at saan siya ginagasto?
Actually, wala na siyang more on the resources that we have kasi what we need was actually just pots which o balde which we have already. We also have the sources ng fertilizer. We use fertilizers here. So if we say na ano talaga a research funding, wala talaga kami. We use more on the resources what we have here sa IWEP. And kasi more on the initial nga studies ito to look at about these nutrients on their effect on water hyacinths. So wala siyang masyado if you have actually to look at ng yung budget talaga. I don't think gumastos kami ng more than 5,000. Ang malaki lang kasi nagpa-analyze kami ng water. Doon kami nalakihan kasi mahal ang pag-analyze ng water. Pero aside from that, yung pag-establish ng research, yung pag-monitor, yung lahat, wala siya. Actually, maraming gastos na ginawa namin. Doon lang sa analysis.
So in addition po with that, yun nga sa funding and yung water analysis, ano po yung mga mako-consider nyo na naging challenges in doing this study?
Well, I would say there were several pero hindi naman major. One major siguro yung sinabi ko nagbagyo, na kailangan naming i-repeat ang second run kasi nasira talaga ang tapos nag-overflow nung so kailangan naming to redo. But aside from that, I think wala naman siyang masyadong challenge sa except of course sinabi mo budget, pero other than that wala. I think it was a simple experiment, but we did get a good data and actually a basis for understanding water hyacinth.
Sa ganung event po na bumagyo tapos napuno yung container nyo, nag-overflow, hindi naman yun considered na hindi naman siya biosafety concern yung yung water lily.
Actually, hindi naman siya. Kasi when we set up din sa water lily na siya sa water. Linagay kasi namin dito actually sa aming my greenhouse. And so kung overflow man siya, hindi din siya mabubuhay kasi it's a wetland. And ang condition ng around it is actually dry land. And so, hindi talaga siya mabubuhay unless magiging pond ang area na yon, posible. But right now, actually hindi yung area where the study was conducted, wala kaming nakikita na any Pontederia crassipes growing there. And then dinagyan namin ngayon ng tarp kasi ginagamit namin on a different study. So wala kaming nakikitang problem.
Sa study niyo po, how do you see it influence naman yung mga policies? Like for example, yung ginagawa na monitoring ng LLDA or other agencies.
Well, we're hoping actually na magkaroon actually ng malawakan na or there will be a policy especially in throwing our waste into the river or in the lake kasi this actually affects yung ating growth ng the Pontederia crassipes. Malawakan din na sanang or to control how to control. Hindi lang kasi right now we're just doing mechanical eh. So if we can actually do other means of control like biological or looking at probably chemical control, um, so maybe to pass about integrated pest management na policies, so that will really help actually ng kasi um, ito kasing problema ng water hyacinth hindi lang sa Laguna Lake eh. This is actually nationwide, no, na problema. And so hindi lang talaga nabibigyan ng mm, pansin. Pero this causes a lot ng there was a lot of presentation also during the Pest Management Council of the Philippines, na sa Mindanao problema din nila, no? Yung so sana may bigyan siya ng pansin and due na para makontrol ito na kasi this is becoming a very big problem na sa ating mga water bodies.
At what point po did you realize na yung data nyo enough na siya to submit for publication?
Well, nakita kasi namin na we did 2 runs, right? And so yung result ng first run and second run is
Pareha.
parehas siya. And so sabi namin this is actually a good data and will help out kung lalo na kasi we're having a big problem ng will help out ng mga other scientists to understand ng ating ng water hyacinth. And so since it's repeatable and ang data is pareho ng run 1 and run 2, then sabi namin, well, I think this is a good data that we can share to the scientific community, and that's why we actually published the aming study.
Yan, so almost 1 hour na rin po tayo. Ano po ang mga ma-advise nyo sa mga aspiring researchers?
Aspiring research. I would say stay curious, no? Be persistent, and make use of whatever available resources you have. No? You can start small, and then yung studies that you can actually manage, and then you can build your skills and knowledge. And don't be afraid to explore the questions that interest you. No? Always remember, research is a journey and a discovery. So every small findings na nakita mo will actually contributes to a bigger understanding of any question na you are asking.
I-echo ko lang po yung sinabi niyo dun sa parang start small. Kasi parang isang common misconception sa tingin ko na kapag sinabing research, ang iniisip ng mga tao ay very grand na world-changing na research. Hindi nila naisip na yung research na immediately makakatulong dyan sa hometown mo or something. So,
Exactly.
ayun.
Exactly. I mean, there are pareho nga sinasabi namin na you want to go studies of, for example, drones, application of pesticides in drone, yet you don't understand actually the basic principle on pesticide application. Ang hirap nun, right? So start small. Understand yung and the intricacies in that, and then you will actually eventually understand the bigger picture, and you can help of the bigger problem.
And siguro dagdag ko lang din yung for young researchers, hindi nyo kailangan palagi ng malaking funding to do really good research.
Correct.
So, ayun,
So,
siguro yung ma-share ko dun, may isa akong naging study. Bali, lang siya, final project siya ng remote sensing class ko, nung masters. Pero nung na-publish siya as a conference proceeding, so libre lang yung, wala akong ginasto dun sa study. Bali, laptop ko lang yung ginamit ko and yung mga available satellite images. Napansin siya ng NASA, na-feature sa NASA website yung
wow.
study ko. Wala akong ginasa. So, ayun, for anyone, check nyo lang, search nyo lang yung pangalan ko tapos search yung mangroves in Iloilo City.
Wow. Wow, congratulations. Yeah, you can actually do a lot of research na hindi kailangan. There's a lot of kailangan nating i-answer. You don't need a lot of funding to although I am not saying na hindi ko kailangan yung funding. Of course, kailangan ko 'yon. Lalo na mga initial data lang ang gusto mong kunin, you can actually do those small research lang muna.
Ayun. And last question po, do you have anything to promote?
I would like to promote Weed Science. Now, I really hope that this crop protection discipline will be given a more attention, as weeds can cause significant economic losses. Hindi lang ang ating mga pathogens at saka ang mga insects, pati actually ang ating weeds. Ang weed science is not just about controlling weeds. It's actually protecting our crops also. It's improving farmers' livelihood. It's actually safeguarding our environment too. So, we study a lot. Hindi lang, we study about the biology, we study about ecology, we study about physiology, chemistry, and different technologies. So, by studying with science, you can actually turn observations in the field into a more practical situation. So, consider with science. Think about na importante actually din ang with science. Nalilimutan lang natin na importante pala ang weeds kasi when the farmer wakes up and after he plant, alam niya na may weeds na siya. Kaya parang it's a way of life na niya ng weeds. Pero actually, it's very important. Nalulugi din siya because of weeds. Kaya sana may bigyan ng importansya din ang weed science. Especially when it comes to funding, Yun lang po.
Ayun, so I guess hanggang dito na lang muna tayo. Maraming salamat kay Ma'am Joy sa pagpapaunlak ng aming imbitasyon.
Thank you very much din for allowing me to share yung aming research. Thank you very much.
Yes po. Ayun, at maraming salamat sa lahat ng nakinig at nanood. See you everyone next week. Madami pa tayong pag-uusapan na research na ginagawa ng ating mga Pinoy scientists.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity, group, organization, company, or individual.